honeys, it's your Queen Bee. So in today's video, I'm going to be explaining to you what my favorite Adventure Time mini-series is. Now, what I'm talking about is I'm talking about the comics, not the mini shorts from the TV show. Now, I am wearing an Adventure Time shirt. I'm actually about to go to work, and I just want to explain to you, I used to be the #1 Adventure Time fan when it first came out in 2009. I was right there on it. I was like, this is my jam. I love this. So when the show started, it was I don't know, I was in 3rd or 4th grade, maybe 4th grade, and in 5th grade, I don't know, it was a couple years after the show really got kickstarted, they actually made comics, and I remember just being so excited, and I was like, but I don't think I have any comic shops around my area. Little me did not know how to use Google, and I was like, oh my god, so I was like, how do I get comics? So I went online, of course, and I ordered one of them. Now, I ordered number 3 out of 6, and I didn't know it wasn't the first one, and I started reading, and I was so confused. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And I was like, can I not read? I've never read a comic before. And I was like, well, I never read a newer one. Mind you, I read a bunch of the older stuff because I have an older brother, and also traveling, my dad gets all kinds of different things for us. So I was just like, okay. So I've never read a comic like this. I always read the superhero ones where I'm normally used to being so confused because there's normally I get issue 20,000 out of 30 whatever, it's ridiculous. So getting jumped into basically the middle, I was like, what's going on? So I googled it, and I actually did have a comic shop around my area, and I came in and I was like, I need all these issues, can you please get them for me? And at the time, I'll just do a little bit of foreshadowing. Little me, I was like, I have no money, but I really love comics. So I would do some chores around the house, and my parents would give me a little bit of money because I've always learned that you work for what you want. So with that in mind, I was like, oh, comics are actually kind of expensive. I need more money. So I just remember meekly going in, and I had my mom in the doorway behind me, and I just kind of go up to the guy at the cash register, and I was like, can I have a job? And he was just looked at me, and he was like, how old are you? And I was like, 14. And he's like, and at this time I was in middle school, and I was desperately needing money because they had came out with all kinds of comics, and I was like, I want to read all of them, and I just don't have enough funds. So that December, I can't remember, it was 2014 or whatever, I was 14. That December, the guy called me up, and he was like, hey, can you volunteer your time and I will pay you in comics? And I'm like, yes, I'm right there. Literally the next day I started working. It was volunteering, but I was loving it. So the first comic that really got me back into comics, into actual series, was the #1 comic that I absolutely love. This miniseries, this is my favorite one. I will still reread it to this day, and I still feel all the emotion that I felt back then. This is the Adventure Time Marceline and the Scream Queens comics. Now, I have all of the 6, and I love them so much. I still have the first one I ever got in a bag and board, and I am just, in love with it. The art is just amazing, and I love it so much. So, I don't know, I don't want to, spoil anything for the comic, but, I fell in love with it, the moment I, heard that there was going to be a Adventure Time comic. I was like, yes. I have bought all the books, I have bought all the video games, I bought, just everything. I have a bunch of plushies, and I loved it. That was actually one of the reasons I was going to go to Comic-Con, and just amazing. I have the costumes and everything, so great. So, with that in mind, honestly, without Adventure Time having a, comic series, I would be out of a job. I would have never discovered the comic shop. I would be unemployed. I wouldn't be going to work today. So every time I go into a comic shop, I thank God that, they made a comic, because they still have a comic. Obviously, these seasons are over, but season 11 is, a really good comic series, and it picks up just, immediately after. And if I had to say, a second close, favorite miniseries, it would have to be Simon and Marcy, which is an ongoing series right now. It hasn't ended to my knowledge, but it's also, a 1 of 6. And it's just, a really good book. Now, I am a nerd. I love to read, and I just love everything about, like, just art, and I just love looking at the comics, like, admiring all the, like, variant arts and just everything. So, I don't know. I wanted to share with you guys again just what I love and just my hobbies. I know I made a video on video games, but, like, I don't know. I also want to do, like, book reviews and, like series reviews, like, for comics, but I just couldn't bring my collection to my house because my room in my old house and my mom's house is kind of like my storage unit because I have way too many comics. And unlike my video game video that I made, I can't really show you guys all my comics. Maybe in a future video I will, but there's just so many, and I literally have no room right now, so I don't know. I used to reread them all the time if there wasn't a new book coming out soon, and my mom just, like, she absolutely loves that I got into reading and, like, everything else. Like, it's just so great. Like, I can't do nothing but praise about it. Like, it's just something that my childhood that I've carried on, and honestly, like, I know I've said it before, but whenever I become, like, a parental figure, like, I'm probably not to my niece and nephew just because, like, I don't think they're very much into it. Like, my older brother and my sister-in-law really aren't into, like, some of the stuff that I have as, like, comic forms. But as a parent, I can assure you that the first couple of books that my children will be reading whenever they become, like, older and, like, their understanding of what comics are and, like, how to read, like, pretty well, they will absolutely be reading my old books. Like, that's what my older brother did, was he held back all of his Goosebump books, and I read those as a child, and oh my god, I just fell in love with them, and I'm just so happy that he saved all the stuff that he had as for his childhood for me, and I'm basically, like, learning from him and doing the same, and I'm so thankful that my parents, like, raised me with that, and there's nothing else to say, really. Like, that is my favorite miniseries, and my second favorite would be Simon and Marcy, obviously. And if you don't know, then obviously my favorite comic book series, like, just franchise, is the Kaboom Adventure Time comics, and I'm just so grateful that they are, like, still continuing that, because obviously whenever they ended with the main series, it was just called Adventure Time, they ended it, and I was like, well, the ending was okay, but it wasn't the best. But once they announced that they were going to do season 11, it actually made the comic, like, feel better. Like, normally it wasn't really canon. Like, they would kind of hint at things being canon, but not really. So, with all that being said, I just love reading. I love comics, and that's why I work at a comic book store. So, hopefully you guys like this. Comment down below, do you guys read comics? Like, what's your favorite series? Or do you even just read, like, at all? I know technology is, like, a new thing, and we're, like, discovering more and more about it, but I think we should go back to our, like, grassroots and just do reading for a bit, because I don't think a lot of people read anymore. And I am, like, you should read. Advocate for reading. Please read. It makes you smarter, I swear. Just look at me. But anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was educational, fun, informative, or everything else. And don't forget to follow my TikTok, my Twitter, and my Instagram. And if you like this video, give it a like. If you don't, then don't. And so don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you like my content. And that's pretty much all I had to say. So with all that, thanks for stopping by. Love you.